Aaron Rodgers is certainly going to be playing for another team next year. Matt Stafford may be playing for another team as well, as the Rams have given him and his representatives, permission to speak to other teams about a trade. JM, it doesn't really make sense to me. This, in my opinion, was the second best team in the NFC. They were the closest team to taking down the eventual Super Bowl champion Eagles. For me, the best fit for Stafford, and for the Rams, the best thing would be for Stafford to be the quarterback of the Rams next season.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. It doesn't really make a ton of sense because we thought maybe when the Aaron Donald retiring announcement was made that might have been the end of an era for the Rams, who seem to have had, okay, what's that defense going to look like now? You don't have the best young players on that team besides a Puka Nacua and a Kyron Williams, who showed some promise in his rookie season. But then you fast forward to this past season, you have the emergence of Verse winning the Defensive Rookie of the Year, and the emergence of Fisk and some other guys on your roster stepping up in some pretty big ways. And all of a sudden now, the Rams are back in the playoff picture. They win the division. They have a great year. So it's surprising to me. You would think they would want to build off of that with Matthew Stafford for another year, who has won a Super Bowl with Sean McVay. But they have other plans, I guess.
Now, I don't think the Rams are just fully ready to move on from Matthew Stafford. I think this is the Rams also saying to themselves, hey, Matt, you want a new contract. Go out there. Go see what your value is. And then if we can come to an agreement, we come to an agreement. Or if you want to leave, we'll trade you, because there are options out there for the Rams to possibly replace Matt Stafford this season. We know Matt Stafford's not young. We know he probably has a max 2 years left of being a competitive, a competent championship level quarterback, if he's even that anymore. And I think we can have that discussion. But either way, Stafford may be on the move, but I think the Rams see themselves saying, hey, we could replace Stafford with a guy like Aaron Rodgers potentially, and say he's going to cost less. We'll gain draft picks from trading Stafford. And the skill level, I don't think they're too far off at the moment.
No, they're not. Do you? I was wondering this because we discussed this when it came to Kyle Shanahan and the looming Brock Purdy extension. Do you think this is maybe some arrogance on Sean McVay's part of saying, you know what, I'm such a great coach and I've gotten to a Super Bowl with a different quarterback, Jared Goff, before? Do you think it's him saying, you know what, whoever our quarterback is, I think I could still put together a great offense?
See, I think if he said to himself, if he goes, I'm going to either draft a guy and start him, or I'm going to start Jimmy Garoppolo, who's currently on the roster, then I would say it's arrogance.
At that point, that's just blind arrogance. If you're starting Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean, you're not Jesus on earth. I think that's a bit too.
But they go out there and they say, hey, we're going to bring in Aaron Rodgers. Then no, I think it's him saying, hey, he's cheaper, and I'm getting draft picks to improve the offensive line, to improve a couple of – they're going to need a receiver or two. Yeah. So he's gaining more draft picks, and they're going to fill some holes while also adding a quarterback, I think, close to the skill level of Stafford. And I like Stafford. I think he's – last season, he was the second best quarterback in the NFC.
Yes.
Behind Daniels.
Yes, behind Daniels. Regular season-wise, obviously some Eagles fans might get offended from that with their Super Bowl winning quarterback, but that's objectively correct in my opinion, yes. It's interesting because Cooper Kupp obviously has something to do with this. We haven't mentioned him, another guy on the Rams who's seeking a trade. You wonder, right? Because you always hear with Aaron Rodgers and the Devontae Adams stuff, you wonder if it's a similar thing here with Matt Stafford of, okay, he's talking to other teams. Is he going to want Cooper Kupp to go with him? Because I think we could agree here, and everybody could agree with the Rams a little more on Kupp, that, okay, maybe it's time for Cooper Kupp to go somewhere else. We saw the way those seasons have gone for him the past couple of years, and especially this year towards the end of the season, really getting a reduced role. I wonder if Stafford would ask for the Rams to keep them together.
It'd be interesting, or any other team that brings Stafford in and say, hey, I want Kupp with me too. Yeah. It would be interesting. Listen, this is a big week in the NFL because it's Combine Week, and now teams are together, agents are together, teams are talking to the rookies at the Combine and this and that, the potential draft picks, at the Combine. So there's a lot of rumors this week, and we've seen the rumors fly off the wall, especially Wednesday here. Stafford apparently was in Montana with Brady, wasn't in Montana with Brady and just bumped into him. The Giants representatives met with Stafford's representatives. So there's a lot of rumors here about the potential teams that could be after Stafford. And we'll talk about the two favorites, I think, at this point. the Giants and the Raiders. If you had to pick, which is a better fit here for Stafford?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't really view either one of them as a perfect fit. I think with a quarterback of Matt Stafford's stature at his age, you're looking for more of a win now team that you view as a quarterback away. That being said, my choice between the two, it's very obviously the Giants. I think the Giants roster in general is more ready to win than the Raiders are. I don't think the Giants roster is a Matt Stafford away from being somebody we need to seriously discuss, especially in that division. They're still viewed as at least, at the most, the third best team in that division if they did get Matt Stafford. But Stafford with Dayball and Shane were just given another lease on life this offseason, and they know that they need to put out a winning product on the field. What is the best way to do that? Is it drafting a quarterback in a weak quarterback class and hoping that he pans out? I'm not sure, because in this market, is the ownership, he's already said he's very impatient, Mara. The fan base is very impatient. Are they going to allow them a couple years to let a rookie quarterback maybe pan out? I don't think so.
That's the interesting decision here, I think, for Mara, because if you're going to – I don't know how involved Mara is, but if Joe Shane goes to him and says, listen, this is what our plan is, we're going to go with Stafford, Stafford takes you out of the irrelevance, right? You're no longer a poverty franchise. You're no longer this irrelevant franchise. I don't even think they'd make the playoffs, to be completely honest with you. But are they a 7, 8, 9 win team in the NFC? They probably are with Stafford, I think, especially if they fill some holes. You're able to now use that draft pick on a position of need, like corner or defensive line if Carter falls to you, or trade back, grab an offensive lineman. You're able to improve your team. Yeah. But let me ask, is Stafford worth the $45, $50 million for the next 2 seasons? So $100 million, $80 million, whatever it is. Is he seriously worth that kind of dough for 2 years here?
Absolutely not. I mean, like I said, if you maybe had a team like the Jets were viewed a couple years ago when they got Rodgers, a team that, wow, okay, they got a lot of young talent still on their rookie deals, and maybe they could just get an elite quarterback and get over the hump and all of a sudden become a contender. And obviously it didn't work out for the Jets, but the Giants should be looking at that and saying, listen, this might not pan out anyways. I would trust Dayball here more than I would trust the Jets coaching staff to have that offense work out. I think Dayball has shown, even with a Daniel Jones at times, that he can have that offense running smoothly if the right quarterback is in the seat. And obviously you immediately satisfy your rookie going into his second year superstar wide receiver Malik Neighbors, who you don't want to start having that relationship go to crap. But I still, for the Giants, this isn't an offseason where you have the best, fanciest options out there for quarterback. But I guess if you're Joe Shane and you're Brian Daboll and you need to put a winner out there next year, he's your best shot.
This is my question to you. If, let's say, the contract is 2 years, $90 million, right? Is that a risk? How big of a risk is that for the next 2 seasons at a big number? They have cap space. They have cap space next year. The cap went up close to $20 million this offseason. It's probably going to go up again next offseason. You have the cap space. How much of a risk is it? Is it really is it a reckless choice to do so? Because I don't want to see Shane make the reckless choice just to save his job. But I'm trying to decipher whether or not this is a truly, truly big-time risk.
It is a complete big-time risk.
Okay.
And the reason why is because of the domino effect that it's going to have. Signing Matt Stafford or having him on the books for 2 years, $90 million, sure, that may be, okay, it's a 2-year deal. That's not a long-term contract. But now, again, I'm going to refer back to the New York Jets. All of a sudden now, your mindset changes as a front office, as a locker room, as a fan base. All of a sudden, you're in win-now mode. You start making win-now moves. You start thinking about the short term. You start tacking on more and more salary cap. Right. And let's say the highly likelihood here is that the Giants improve, but not enough to where we're considering them as a legitimate threat to win that division or win the Super Bowl, obviously. So now all of a sudden, do you put yourself in a position with, okay, Matt Stafford, it was a good 1 or 2 years. Now we're in New York Jets territory. We don't have a premier draft pick. We're kind of in the middle. The top quarterbacks are going to be taken unless we trade up for them. and you're kind of stuck back to square one.
This organization has been part of so much losing. I feel like you add a veteran quarterback here, and the players that have been here for 3-4 years, that all they've seen is just a dumpster fire. I do think this would help. I do think this would help that situation of, hey, you're going to develop a little bit more of your roster. I agree. I don't know where I stand because I was so against it, and then today something flipped, and I was like, I could see it. I could see this being something that I would look forward to.
To me, it's a short-term solution for a long-term problem.
Well, if you don't love the quarterbacks here, if you don't love the quarterbacks, which I'm guessing not many people here love these quarterbacks in this draft, and that's a discussion for another day, and you have this opportunity, do you take it?
To draft a quarterback or
No,
to trade
to
for
trade
Stafford?
for Stafford.
I don't think so.
Don't love the quarterbacks.
I don't think so. That's not what good, smart organizations do. It's
So
not, well, my option, I'm kind of out of options here, so why don't I go trade for the 37-year-old quarterback who's going to cost me $45 million a year when I don't. If the Giants front office, seriously, if their front office is sitting there, if Joe Schoen is sitting there and Brian Daboll is sitting there and everybody else is looking at this roster and saying, you know what, take out Drew Lock, take out Tommy DeVito, Daniel Jones, whatever, put Matt Stafford right there on the quarterback, this is a win now team. Obviously, they're going to have the third overall pick. They're not trading the third overall pick, first of all, or third overall pick.
No, of course not.
That people need to stop saying that. In no way in hell. It'll be a couple of seconds maybe for Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
You're going to have that draft pick, right? Maybe a Travis Hunter, an Abdul Carter, or whoever.
Trade back.
And then you maybe sign a couple good free agents. But you're not flipping this roster this offseason. Is that really what you want to do, is put Matt Stafford there? Where are you going to go?
Yeah, it's a good point. Stafford, I mean, he's played with bad offensive lines in the past, but again, that's one of the better rosters in the NFC right now, that Rams team, with how good that defense, especially coming into this season, is going to be. The Raiders, I don't understand the fit here. I understand Carroll's there. They're going to try and grab a veteran quarterback. I don't love that fit there, but obviously Tom Brady and that regime. I actually just blanked on Tom Brady's name. that was that pause. Tom
Well,
Brady's
it's tough to keep up with what he is these days.
I know. Player, announcer,
Actor,
part owner.
yeah.
Either way, they want to get a quarterback in there, and I don't love the fit, but I could also see a Raiders fan saying, or somebody from the West Coast saying, I don't understand the fit with the Giants either, and it's a good point.
Yeah, I don't really understand the fit with either team. None of those teams, to me, should be looking, if the Rams, the Giants and the Raiders should be looking out more towards the draft class or to, but a Justin Fields, a Sam Darnold, somebody of that stature, or maybe even a Kirk Cousins, a guy to just bring on the roster, cheap quarterback, veteran. You want a veteran presence and a guy that you don't have a long-term commitment to and won't take up a lot of the books. If Kirk Cousins gets released by the Falcons, why not take a flyer on him as the New York Giants?
Because those guys are going to get fired. Because Dable and Shane are going to get fired with a 6-win season from Kirk Cousins.
But the Giants, this is, again, poor timing by the Giants. You can't, this offseason, as John Mara, be oblivious to the context of everything and not understand that, okay, I'm going to bring these guys back, and we still don't have a quarterback for the short term, the long-term future, none of that. But I'm going to give them a 1-year window to get this right. It's just impossible.
See,
if I was Shane or Dable, I'd say, let me go now. At least give me time to at least let myself go and find somewhere else.
Unless you loved a quarterback and you're like, this is going to be the guy I stake my career on, basically. Yeah. And, listen, if the Giants drafted a quarterback and won 5 or 6 games, but they were competitive and the quarterback got better every week and the roster got better every week, then guess what? They're going to be back.
You know what I think how the Giants could how Daboll and Shane could save their jobs, especially Joe Schoen? Draft Travis Hunter. Get a good draft class after the past couple ones that you've had, especially that Neal and Thibodeau draft. I mean, it was awful.
Mm-hmm.
But this past draft was pretty solid, right? Obviously, Malik Neighbors fell into your lap there, but you also had some other good late round picks, mid round picks. So keep building off of that. Start to see these young players develop a little bit, and then get the young quarterback and put him in a good situation. Matt Stafford isn't. I don't see it.
Here's the thing, because I look at Stafford and then I look to 2 other quarterbacks, right? And we're going to talk about Russ another time, but I'm going to mention Russ here just in the context of numbers. I look at Rodgers and I look at Russ, and the numbers are similar, and they're cheaper and they're less of a risk. If you want to try and win as many games as possible this season without looking like a complete joke, then seriously, go sign Aaron Rodgers. Go sign Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
And you could draft a quarterback doing that too. Mm-hmm. If you want to draft a quarterback and sign Russell Wilson to be the starter.
That's actually a great point. If those rumors are true, what came out today at the Combine, that apparently Aaron Rodgers reached out to the Giants to see their interest.
Sign Aaron Rodgers.
If that is actually true, sign Aaron Rodgers. Because guess what? You get to keep all your draft capital. You get a 41-year-old quarterback versus a 37-year-old quarterback. A lot of people could make an argument that Rodgers might be better than Stafford is next year. Who knows? All of a sudden, you're taking Matt Stafford away from Sean McVay. Like, Matt Stafford's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's a very talented quarterback. But who knows? Maybe his performance is being a little bit amplified right now because of the great offensive mind that Sean McVay is. So who knows where these two guys are going to end up compared to each other next year? I would take the much cheaper option in terms of money. Aaron Rodgers is going to get $45-50 million a year next year. And you don't have to give up any draft capital.
Rodgers would be going to a situation where undoubtedly would have a better coaching situation, right?
Yeah.
Dable's not the greatest coach, but a better situation than what he was in. Mm-hmm. He would be going to a spot where there's not much pressure. He's not the savior. I mean, the two spots I'm looking at for Rodgers, I think Rodgers is going to be a home run depending on where he goes. I think if he goes to the right spot, he's going to be a home run.
Yeah, he totally
because he's not going to be this savior that he was for the Jets. I think he's super valuable here. I think he's going to win a lot of games if he goes to the right spot, like the Rams. I think the Steelers wouldn't be a bad spot. And the more you look at it, based on the situation, I don't think the Giants are a terrible spot for him either.
No, but I think Rodgers, it's very obvious, like you said, he wants to go to a win-now team, and I don't really see – if I was him, I would be saying, all right, listen, I'm going to go to a team that I think I could take to the playoffs, take to the Super Bowl, or I'm retiring. What is the point of going? I'm sorry, but if I was Rodgers, I would not want to go to the Giants. I would not want to go to the Raiders, and I would not want to go to the Tennessee Titans or anybody else who wants to throw their hat in the ring. I would not want to go to any of these teams. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Los Angeles Rams, especially the Rams, that's my best spot for him, are where I would want to go. The Rams make the complete best sense. You know the stability there. The team's had recent success. They literally had success the year before. You've got a stable head coach, a respected guy across the league. You're a West Coast guy. They obviously play on the West Coast. You don't really got to move much there. You can enjoy your Malibu house and go play at SoFi. Not sure how close those are. I'm not a Californian, so I might be off of my geography there. But I think they can't be too far.
They're not too far.
Why not go over there and, like you said, not have to be the savior?
That's McVay's team.
You have a number one receiver, one of the bright young stars in the game, in Puka Nacua. If I'm Rodgers, I'm basically saying Rams, Steelers, or nothing.
The Rams give him – the Rams would be a perfect spot. I believe the Rams, if he was to go there, they would be – I would pick them to win the division. I'd pick them to win that division next season. And think about this. This is why a lot of Jet fans are upset the Jets got rid of Rodgers. Rodgers is not coming off of the injury this year. Last year he was rehabbing. Now he's training and getting ready for the year. I think he's going to have if he goes to the Rams, they make their improvements. They're going to draft offensive linemen, draft a couple receivers to go along with Puka. They're going to be right back in this thing.
Yeah. Listen, you saw at the end of the year that the talent is still there with Aaron Rodgers. If he goes to the Rams, if they could keep him on his feet, the sky could be the limit for that team and for him. Like, we could be seeing what Aaron Rodgers was supposed to be with the Jets with the Rams. We could see his name in MVP conversations, literally.
Prediction time. Where does Stafford end up?
I actually do think he ends up at the Giants, and the reason why I'm so confident in that is because of the Shane and Daboll situation. I think that they are going to look at themselves and say, for my job security, this is what ownership wants. This is what the fan wants. I got to just try to put the best product out there that I can, and that's with Matt Stafford.
And Rodgers, you would say, goes to the Rams.
And then if that spot opens up, obviously, that domino needs to fall first. Stafford gets traded, obviously. Then, I think Rodgers is a Ram. He's retired. He still hasn't said it completely if he wants to play or not, but it seems like he does.
And I agree. That would be my prediction. I think Stafford goes to the Giants, and I think Rodgers will head to the Rams. The best fit for me, I think the best fit for Stafford is staying with the Rams, and I don't know if this is the best fit, but just based on the way I would have things going, I think the Steelers make sense. We mentioned them. I think the Steelers make sense for Aaron Rodgers.
I would literally say best fit because we're not saying that this is where they're going to go.
Yeah.
Best fit for Stafford is the Rams, and best fit for Rodgers It's the Rams.
A lot of quarterbacks' best fits would be playing in
Yeah.
L.A. in the Dome with Sean McVay. That
Yeah.
Puka Nacua.
And I mean, listen, the Steelers would be, the Steelers of late offensively have been viewed as and I mean, if you had eyes, you would agree, a lackluster place to go for offense. But say what you want about Mike Tomlin, he's still one of the best head coaches in the league. That's still a prestigious organization, a successful organization, an organization that somehow every year you could pencil them in as a 10-7 team. They somehow continually do it. So that would also be a good spot for him. But if I had my number one destination as Aaron Rodgers, performance-wise, logistics-wise, everything, it's the Rams.
Stafford will be the first domino. Rodgers will be the second, and we'll see where they go.